Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick here, dropping in on you. I hope that everything in your life is starting to line up. And even if you are still experiencing difficulty, even if you're still experiencing setbacks, understand that the consistency of your efforts, the consistency of your faith, the consistency of what you are expecting is going to ultimately set the course and the path of your life. God, the universe, life meet us at the level of our expectations. And you cannot, and let me repeat this so that you get it, you cannot make the mistake of identifying with your condition or your situation or your circumstances. Those are momentary unless you identify with them, and then they become a part of your thought cycle, your belief cycle, and they are influencing your expectations. And once again, God meets us at the level of our expectations. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people and they're frustrated with their reality, but they're getting what they expect. You cannot identify. Good morning, Shay. You cannot identify with your condition because you'll get stuck in the condition because you live out your identity. If you start saying because money's funny, you start saying you're broke, you're going to stay that way. If you are dealing with, hey, Johnny, what's going on, man? Much love, much love. Hey, look, if you start identifying with the situations and circumstances in your marriage, you're going to find a perpetuation of trouble, dissension, and strife because you're identifying with an issue instead of identifying with the purpose of the marriage. And you must identify with your design because your design is indicative of your destiny. Your design is indicative of your purpose. And when you look at your design is not for you to be broke. Your design is not for you to be in strife in your marriage. Your design is not for you to be average. That's not your design. Your design is excellent. Your design is powerful. Your design is full of potential. But you're identifying with a condition. Stop it. I'm going to get into what I got to get into today, and I'm be out of here, but I want to let everybody know, if you've ordered Critical Mass, I guess I need to turn that around. If you've ordered Critical Mass, which is book number 20, or Born in Captivity, Psychopathology as a Legacy of Slavery, which is book number 19. Shipments came in this week. Books are on their way to you. I'm excited about that. Also, if you haven't pre-ordered, we're almost there. We're almost there. That's one of the reasons why you guys haven't seen me as much, is that I've been really busy trying to close out everything on book number 21, which is I Am. And I Am is the second book in a 6-book series. Critical Mass was the first one. I Am is a book about declaration, the power of our words, the power of our self-talk, the power of our internal conversations that we're having about ourselves, our lives, our future, and how we're literally establishing our path through our internal and external conversations. Our words have so much power. It is a part of the programming process for our subconscious, and we have to be aware of what we're saying at all times. And the problem is so many of us speak destitute realities, strife, failure, and so many other things that we don't want. We speak them into our lives. We set an expectation. We set a mindset based on a condition, just what I just talked to you about. I Am is the power of declaration. It explains how literally you have the ability to establish, not through some mystical idea or magical potion or whatever, but through the way that this universe is created to respond to mental energy, mental power. And when you speak, it is an expression of your mental thoughts and mental beliefs, and it is setting a tone. It is pushing against the universe, and what you send out, you get back. So if you haven't gotten that book, if you haven't pre-ordered it, you pre-ordered it for 2 reasons. You're going to get it at a discounted price because once it's actually released, and we're 7 days away. Once it's actually released, it's going to be a different price. And While you're pre-ordering it, you get a free 30-minute breakthrough session with yours truly. I've been having a ball with these breakthrough sessions. You'll be amazed at what can be done in 30 minutes. No, you're not going to fix all your problems. No, you're not going to have all the answers. But if you can just imagine if you had this thing that you wanted to do and you've been bumping your head. Maybe you've been procrastinating. Maybe you can't come up with an idea. Maybe you don't know how to get started. All these different things. Imagine there's a place you can go. And in 30 minutes, you'll have a starting point and something that can push you out there and give you enough confidence that you continue to follow through and you get it done, as you progress along. That's the power of these breakthrough sessions. A breakthrough isn't the attainment of everything that you're looking for. The breakthrough is the moment you push through and the process begins. And now you know it's possible. Now you know it's coming. That's the breakthrough. The breakthrough isn't the achievement. The breakthrough is the releasing of your potential so that you can bring things through to you, because the receiving side of it is perpetual. You're never going to stop getting as long as you're sending out. All right, that's that. This is Quantum Physics Friday. And I'm going to do a little difference. I'm not going to get too heavily on the science sides. Basically, all quanta is a scientific visitation into the inner workings of the universe at a very, very molecular level. In other words, we're looking subatomic, so smaller than the atoms. We're talking beyond electrons, protons, and neutrons. We're looking at how the universe at its very core operates, responds, and behaves. And it is vulnerable and acquiescent to your thoughts. In other words, the universe never brings to you what you haven't demanded of it, whether you know it or not. And people say, well, I'm sitting up every day and the last thing I want is to be like where I'm at right now, whatever that is. But what are you talking about all the time? What are you whining and complaining about all the time? Where is your mental energy focused? Because wherever your mental energy is focused, that's what the universe is going to produce. The universe doesn't hear, I don't want to be broke. The universe doesn't want to, the universe doesn't hear, I don't want my marriage to suck. What the universe hears is broke, suck. Broke, suck. And that's what you don't get, it's not a negative or a positive. A negative is no, I don't want it. A positive is yes, I do want it. It just knows what you're focused on. And I say this all the time, what you focus on is what you feel. A lot of what you're going through right now in the place of where you're at is based on what you're focused on. Because see, this is why you can have two people who are in the same situation from the same background and get two completely different results out of that. Is because of perspective, how I see it, what I focus on. The glass is half empty, the glass is half full type of thing, where I'm sitting up and I see the positive. And you're saying, wait a minute, that's wishful thinking. No, that's determining how I'm going to engage life. That's determining how I'm going to face the vicissitudes and challenges and disappointments and struggles of life that are inevitable, unavoidable. It's coming. How am I going to face it? Am I going to face it as a victim? Or am I going to face it with an understanding that I'm built for this? Because that's ultimately what's going to determine what comes out of it. There was a study done some years ago of I think 2,800 graduates of, if I'm not mistaken, Yale University, and they broke the groups down primarily into two groups. They broke them down into two groups, optimists and pessimists. Now they asked them all kinds of different questions. And the first thing that they discovered between the optimist and the pessimist that was very distinct is that the pessimist was extremely more accurate in describing their current situation. They were more accurate in assessing their current reality. The optimists always saw things better than they really were. Now, 20 years later, all of those who were still living, the survivors that they were able to contact, they brought back in and they ended the study by reevaluating and asking another series of questions. What we found was the optimists, in all of the questions where they had said what they were going to do in their life, had far out achieved the pessimist, which you probably can imagine. But check this out. They had exceeded in achieving a life that their optimistic minds had imagined in the beginning. So what they imagined in their life that was far actually better than where they really were, they achieved it and went beyond. The pessimist was the opposite. They pretty much stayed where they were. And that's because God meets you at the level of your expectations. How you perceive things is going to be a determining factor on how you approach it. See, if you perceive it as something bigger than you, you're never going to attack it. You're never going to engage it. You're going to succumb to it. But if you see it as a challenge and not a problem, if you see it as a puzzle and not a problem, then you start to work on the solution. See, puzzles are meant to be solved. I never forget hearing Quincy Jones when asked how did he overcome racism and how did he overcome all the challenges of coming up when he came up and living in that era and achieving everything he had achieved. And they asked him, with all those problems, and his response was, I don't have problems. I've never had problems. And I go, come on, Quincy, everybody has problems, Quincy, come on, everybody. No, he said, I don't have problems, I have puzzles. And I said, well, damn. Because once you change how you view life, you change how you approach life. See, when I think of puzzles, puzzles are meant to be put together, pieced together, solved. They're not eternal. They're meant to be solved. So if they're meant to be solved, there has to be a solution. If there's a solution, I can find it. So nothing stops me, nothing stops me, nothing turns me back because I understand that I was designed and built to overcome. So my expectations in life is never based on my current condition. I'm always looking at where I'm going and what I'm going to accomplish, and I am living in that at a level that never allows me to get too low. There are times, and there's a couple people on here that know me and know some of the things I've been through. And they know where I came from. And I love them for who they were in my life at that time. And we remain friends. But there was a time when I was going through some things, 2012. Y'all heard me use that number. I'm telling you, if you knew just half of what I went through that year. But check it out. The people who know me knew when they saw me, I had a smile on my face. They knew that I was encouraging other people. I was lifting other people. I was not wallowing in my misery or focused too heavily on what I was going through. I was already in my mind out of it. And people would tell me that knew, the few that did know, most of them, not the person on here, this person was solid. And they were an inspiration to me, and they have told me I was an inspiration to them, and I love them for it. But most of the people, it's not a lot of people because I didn't tell my business to everybody, but they were like, you're in denial. How are you running around here smiling and acting like nothing's wrong? No, I'm not acting like nothing wrong. The smile is a smile of joy based on my expectations, because I've come to learn that in the midst of every hardship, in the midst of every struggle, in the midst of every disappointment is where God does the greatest work in me. That if I am faithful to my destiny, if I'm faithful to my purpose, if I'm living out what I was designed to live out, that I'm built for it and I'm coming out of it, and nothing in this world can stop me. See, you are looking at where I'm at and I'm living in where I'm going, and you can't understand why I'm happy. You can't understand why I'm fulfilled. You can't understand the joy. You think I'm in denial. No, I'm celebrating what I already know is coming. That's because I know I'm dictating it. God has given me the reins of sovereignty over my life, and there's absolutely nothing that can stop me from fulfilling what I was designed to do, because when I was designed to do it, in the design was the providence to carry it out. Stop being connected to the condition. Stop identifying with the condition. The condition was meant to be momentary. It's a teacher. It's a groomer. It's a conditioner. It's a force that's meant to strengthen you. It's not who you are. It's not what you are. It's not what you are. You are something that should be growing daily, becoming something. You don't get what you want. You get what you become. If you don't have it yet, you haven't become it yet. This is not a wish game. You don't sit up and wish for something and it magically appear. You identify what it is you want, and then you start working on becoming what it takes to have it. And that's how you get it. But you can't keep telling your subconscious, I suck in relationships. You can't keep telling your subconscious, I can never run a business. You can't keep telling your subconscious that my marriage is failing. You can't keep telling your subconscious that you're broke. But Doc, I got $15 and I got this amount of bills. Well, you got a cash flow problem. You're not broke. Why can you sit up and say I'm not broke when I got all these bills and this little bit of money? Because your value is not in your cash. Your value is in the resources of your mind that has the ability to create anything you set your mind on. You are, by the very nature of definition in creation, abundant. One of the many things I tell myself every morning is you are abundant. You are adequately equipped. You are sufficient for everything that you're going to go through because you are designed for greatness. You are abundant. I'm not looking for abundance. I am abundant. Everything that I desire, everything that I'm required to do, everything I'm responsible for, if I consistently stick with it and work on it, the universe can't stop me. Negative, minimal-minded naysayers can't stop me. Racism can't stop me. Listen. There's nothing more powerful in this universe than your thoughts. And your thoughts are generated based off of beliefs. If your beliefs are not generating thoughts that are conducive to the things you desire, you've got to establish new beliefs and choke the life out of the old ones. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity, the ability to create a new idea out of nothing, and then bring that reality into fruition, to manifest. It's a powerful thing. Look, as I check out of here, stop identifying with what you don't want. Acknowledge it's there, and then if nothing else, simply declare, I'll win. I'll overcome. I'll get it worked out. I'll figure it out. That's the start. That's all you need. Sometimes there are going to be some things that you're going to have to do that you don't have the how yet. That's okay. But understand that it's there and it's possible, and you tell yourself, I got it. And then you start to work on it. And what I can tell you is this, and then I'm going to shut down. What I have learned is that it's when you commit to doing something that people are saying are impossible. It's impossible. When you commit to doing something that's problematic and overwhelming, that the vast majority of the time you don't know how. But it's in the committing and the stepping out on faith, meaning I don't have reason and rational explanations for why I'm doing what I'm doing, but something on the inside of me tells me it's possible, and I'm stepping out believing it's possible into the darkness of uncertainty. But that's when providence moves. Providence doesn't move until you take a step of faith. Because, and faith isn't things you can reason or rational. Remember, it's the things that are unseen. It's evidence of things you can't see. Faith is saying you don't have a visual explanation, but it's possible. Trust me. Nobody could have told me from a reasonable perspective that when I started and where I started writing book number 1, that that would be a book number 21. I wrote book number 1 with my hands, with a pen. I refused to be shut down. You couldn't have told me that 30-something years ago with company number 1, that will be company number 46. I just knew there was something in me that had to come out, that was something in me planted in me that the world needed, and I was intent on giving it to them. You are designed for greatness. Mediocrity is the default of refusing to execute. And for those of you, no matter who or how or what you believe when it comes to the Almighty, here's this thing, and I believe it with all my heart. You know, all the waving of the hands, no problem with it. All the singing, no problem with it. But when it comes to true, to me, the greatest form of worship is the execution of what God designed you to do. When you're living in your destiny, executing what you were created to do, that's the greatest form of, that's the greatest representation of the designer. Just think about it for a minute. What is most important if you have this belief that there is a God? I'm not telling you how or what and what way to approach it, but understanding that there is a superior force behind all of this order that even in chaos exists. Okay, let's say that's there. What do you think is most important? Telling this God who did all of this how awesome God, they are, he is, or showing others who may not be aware of the power that they have access to, showing them how powerful God is? I think God already knows. We spend a lot of time telling God what he already knows about himself, and we spend very little time showing the world what's possible. Spend a lot of time preaching to the choir, singing to the choir, telling everybody, and the people who really need to know that there's something better out there can't see it because they're watching you talk about how awesome God is for living a defeated life. I don't know about you, but you can't come telling me about God and I'm looking at you getting drugged every day and I'm gonna say, well, shoot, I want some of that. Think about it. The best way you can evangelize is by living through the power of what you were designed to be. Execute your destiny. Now that's worship. On that note, I'm gonna get off of here. If you have not pre-ordered I Am, just a sample of what's in that book. Just like with critical mass, I try to bring it to you so that you can break it down and use it in your life. It's not some abstract, esoteric idea. It's saying, man, if you do this, you get this. It's that simple. People like to complicate things to make themselves look important. I tell people all the time, I ain't doing nothing nobody else in this world, no matter where they come from, no matter what challenges they have, can't do. Everybody has a genius. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has an exceptional and extraordinary destiny. A lot of us have been talked out of it. Get the book. Get critical mass too. But whatever you do, stop identifying with your hardships, your struggles, your difficulties, your condition, and start looking at what you're capable of. Start seeing yourself succeed and start expecting what you're seeing. On that note, I'm out here. You guys have an unbelievable day.